Hey guys, this is Harish from talentorigin.com. Today we'll see how to work with strings in Python, right? In Python, strings can be represented in two different ways. One is with a single quotes, right? Another way is with double quotes. Either way, strings are accepted in Python, right? You can represent in any of the way. Suppose if you have some characters, something like don't or something. Suppose I have a string with don't, right? This will throw an error. Why? Because I am ending here. I see this apostrophe and a t, right? But what Python interpreter thinks is this single quotes whatever we have begun with, it is ended. It is end at before t, right? So if you want to represent something strings in this kind of way, right, there are a couple of ways to represent it. Either you can use a double quotes, something like this. Don't do that and you'll get it. Otherwise you can use don't, can use backslash apostrophe t, do that, right? Sorry, here I have given a single quote, right? I have to give a single quote, right? You can see I can do in any of the way. Right. Now, you can see the difference between the strings when I'm printing it, right? When I'm printing a string with either a single quote or with a double quote, I'm getting a value as a single quote string. I mean, whatever is printing in the interpreter is in the single quotes. And when I'm printing with a double quotes, even then I'm getting a string which is printing in a single quote. Suppose here I have used a don't mean apostrophe a t, right? In this case, you can see that whatever the interpreter is printing, it is in within the double quotes, right? So this is the way the Python prints the string when you are using the interpreter, right? So these are the two ways of representing a special character, something like this. You can also do, suppose if I want to print a literal meaning of some things, I want when I'm printing yes or something, I want to print and this apostrophe also when I'm printing, I want to print this double quotes around the yes when I'm printing this string. So how I can do, I can use a single quotes and I can print it. It will print a double quotes around the yes, right? Suppose if I want to build a string in something like, okay, let me just use the same function to print the strings like this. You can see the difference how this Python prints using a print function, right? See, when you are printing when directly into the interpreter without using any print function, the string whatever it is printing, it will be surrounded with a single quote or the double quote depending on the usage which you have used, right? When you use the print function, a Python interpreter will omit the single quotes whatever it is mentioned within the function, and it will try to print all the literal values or the literal string which we want it to be printed, right? So this is another way of doing it. When you are writing your code in any IDE, you typically use a print function for printing any of the strings or constants or variables or whatever it be, right? As we are using an interpreter, we don't have to use a print function. We can directly type in and the interpreter will take care of the print function, right? There are some more advantages or when we are using print function, all right? I'll just show you those things in a couple of minutes. Suppose I have to print some location in my computer or a C drive or a E drive, right? So Windows notation usually starts with the backslash, right? Backslash users and I'll give name, right? So this is what I want to print in my output. So when I try to print this, you can see it is printing an error called a Unicode error. Why it is printing this Unicode error? Uh, I'll show you why it is literally doing that. So to print these kind of functions or strings, you can use a raw string which can be represented with the letter R before the single quotes, start of the single quotes. Now you can see I'm able to print whatever it is mentioned within the single quotes. How the Python interpreter is trying to print this? Because it is assuming this entire string which is represented in print function is a raw string, and it is directly printing the raw string into the standard output, which is a terminal here, right? And when we are working with the strings, right, suppose there will be cases where you want to print your output in multiple lines, or your output when you're typing it, it goes into multiple lines, right? So to represent those kind of strings, you can use triple double quotes, or you can use triple single quotes. Anything would work. This is the way we can represent, or I can say we can print multiple lines using print function, right? And I'll end with single double quotes and I'll print it, and you can see it is printed in multiple lines, right? This is one way of printing. We can also perform certain kind of arithmetic operations on strings. Yes, you heard me right. Arithmetic operations. String supports two kinds of arithmetic operations, which is plus and asterisk, right? Let's see what plus does. Suppose I have a string called hello, and I also have a string called world, right? So to concat these two things, I can use a plus symbol, right? You can see I have two different string literals, hello and world, right? What does this plus operator is doing? It is trying to concat both the strings into one single string, right? So plus operator can be used as a comparator of sorry, plus operator can be used as a concatenation operator, for using for concatenating two different strings, right? For you can also concat two different string literals using just a space. You don't have to mention anything, just a space, right? You don't have to mention whether plus or minus, or plus or asterisk or anything. It will print the, or it will concatenate two string literals. And you have to be sure that this works only with string literals, not string variables. What is the difference between string literal and a variable? When you are representing a string in a single quote, this is a string literal, right? And when you assign the same thing to variable called yes, this is a string literal assigned to a variable, right? This is the difference between string literal and string variable. Now if I try to do a concatenation using a space with a string literal, don't work, doesn't work. Why does it doesn't work? Okay, let me just use the double quotes here. Invalid syntax, because here I'm getting this yes is a variable, and whatever I'm using this is a string literal, right? So whenever you want to concat a variable or two different variables, or a variable and a string literal, you can use a plus operator and it will be concatenated, right? And if you have two different string literals, you don't have to do anything, directly it will concatenate. So using plus operator, you can concatenate two different strings. Let's see what does this uh, asterisk operator does, right? Suppose I have a string uh, greeting is equals to hello, right? Now what I'll do, I'll just do greeting into 3. Let's see what it does. What it is doing, it is replicating this greeting into 3 times, right? It is repeating this greeting hello into 3 times, right? You can see that, right? So what is the what does this asterisk do? The asterisk repeats whatever the string it is mentioning into the number of times it is mentioning. It is requested to do that. Suppose I have hi, and if I do hi into 5, it will it will repeat hi 5 times, right? Let's see, it is repeating the hi for 5 times. Okay, so this is a little basics about the string literals, or how to work with strings in Python. Let's see how we can work with the string, how we can slice the string, and how we can index the string in the next video tutorial.